There's a type of ambition that terrifies people. Not the kind that wants power. Everyone in Rome wants that. The kind that's willing to risk everything to get it. Caesar had just survived pirates, crucified his captors, and returned to Rome like nothing happened. Most men would have taken that as a sign to slow down, play it safe, maybe enjoy being alive. But Caesar looked at Rome and saw something nobody else did. The entire system was for sale, and he was about to buy it with money he didn't even have yet. Let me paint the picture for you. Rome 73 BC. The city's a powder keg. Spartacus and his slave rebellion are tearing through Italy. The Senate's panicking. Pompey's off conquering Spain. And Caesar, he's 27 years old, back from his Eastern adventures and completely broke. Like catastrophically broke. He's got a patrician named Sure, claims his family descends from Venus Cool, but his bank account, empty, his political connections, shaky, his prospects, most people would call them non-existent. But here what separates Caesar from every other ambitious Roman. He understood that in Rome, perception is reality. You don't need to be rich and powerful. You just need everyone to think you are. So Caesar does something that sounds insane. He goes to the richest man in Rome, Marcus Licinius Crassus, and asks to borrow a fortune. Now Crassus isn't just rich, he's obscenely, incomprehensibly wealthy. We are talking bought half of Rome from murdered enemies' estates rich. He made his money the most brutal way possible. When Sulla's proscriptions killed thousands, Crassus bought their properties for nothing and flipped them. Blood money turned into an empire. Crassus owns senators, controls trade routes, and lends to anyone desperate or ambitious enough to owe him. Because debt in Rome isn't just financial, it's political. You owe Crassus money, you owe him favors, your votes, your loyalty. Most men who borrowed from Crassus became his puppets. Caesar walks into that meeting knowing all of this. And he borrows anyway. Why? Because Caesar's playing a different game. He's not thinking about paying Crassus back in gold. He's thinking about paying him back in power. Crassus wants influence. Caesar's about to become the most influential man in Rome. But first, he needs the people to love him. So Caesar starts spending. He runs for military tribune, a minor position, but it gets his foot in the door. And while other politicians give boring speeches about duty and honor, Caesar throws parties. Massive, extravagant, talk-of-the-town parties. He hosts gladiator games that make people gasp, exotic animals, the best fighters, blood and spectacle that keeps Romans glued to their seats for days. He distributes free grain to the poor, throws feasts in public squares. Every coin he spends is borrowed. Every smile, every handshake, every, let me help you with that moment calculated. His rivals watch him and whisper, he's insane, he's drowning in debt, one bad election and he's finished. Yet, Caesar keeps climbing. In 69 BC, his aunt Julia dies, Marius's widow. Most people would have given her a quiet funeral and moved on. Caesar turns it into a political statement. He displays her funeral procession through the streets with images of Marius, the people's hero, the man Sulla tried to erase from history. The Senate's furious. You don't celebrate Marius, that's career suicide. But the people, they love it. They're reminded that Caesar's connected to their champion, that he's not afraid of the old guard, that he remembers who they loved. Then his wife Cornelia dies, the woman he refused to divorce even when Sulla threatened to kill him. Caesar gives her a public funeral too, something almost never done for women in Rome. He speaks about her with tears in his eyes, and the crowd weeps with him. They don't just see a politician anymore. They see one of them, someone who loved deeply, someone who suffered, someone who refused to bow. Caesar's building something more valuable than gold, loyalty. In 65 BC, he gets elected to aedile, basically the guy in charge of public works and games. It's supposed to be a stepping stone position. Most aediles do the bare minimum and move on. Caesar goes nuclear. He throws the most extravagant games Rome's ever seen. He decorates the forum with so much silver and art that people walk through it just to stare. He puts on plays, races, gladiator fights that last for weeks. He's spending Crassus's money like water, and Rome can't get enough. One night, something wild happens. Caesar secretly restores the monuments of Marius, the ones Sulla tore down decades ago. He does it under cover of darkness. When Romans wake up the next morning, there they are, statues of Marius, tributes to the people's hero, standing tall again. The Senate loses their minds. This is treason. This is spitting in the face of Sulla's legacy. They demand Caesar be punished, stripped of office, exiled. But then the people flood the streets. Thousands of Romans, poor, working class, the ones Caesar's been feeding and entertaining, surround the Senate building. They're not asking politely. They're demanding Caesar stay. The Senate backs down. Because that's the moment they realize Caesar doesn't just have popularity, he has power. The kind that comes from below, from the masses, from people who'll fight for you. And Caesar's just getting started. He's still drowning in debt, deeper now than ever. Crassus is getting nervous. Other creditors are circling. Rumors spread that Caesar might flee Rome to escape his debts, maybe govern some distant province and disappear into history. However, Caesar's not running. He's made a bet, a calculated all-or-nothing gamble, that if he climbs high enough, fast enough, the power he gains will make the debt irrelevant, that he'll become too important to fail. In 63 BC, Caesar runs for Pontifex Maximus, the chief priest of Rome. It's one of the most prestigious religious positions in the Republic, usually reserved for elder statesmen with decades of experience. Caesar's 37. His opponents are ancient, respected, connected. Everyone says he has no shot, that he's overreaching, that this is where his luck finally runs out. On election day, Caesar kisses his mother goodbye and tells her, "Today, you'll see your son as Pontifex Maximus, or you'll never see him again." Because if he loses, his creditors will destroy him. He'll be exiled, broken, forgotten. He wins by a landslide. And just like that, Caesar's untouchable. The Pontifex Maximus is immune from certain prosecutions. The position comes with a mansion in the Forum, right in the heart of Rome's power. He went from drowning in debt to living in Rome's most prestigious address. But here's the genius move. Caesar immediately uses his new position to make allies. He helps younger senators, offers favors, grants religious permissions people need. He's building a network, creating obligations, making himself indispensable. And Crassus, he's not nervous anymore, because his investment just paid off. Caesar's rising, and Crassus is rising with him. By 62 BC, Caesar's elected praetor, one step below consul, the highest office in Rome. But during his term, something happens that shows you exactly who Caesar is. A scandal erupts. A man named Publius Clodius sneaks into Caesar's house during a sacred women-only religious festival, allegedly to seduce Caesar's wife, Pompeia. It's a massive scandal. The whole city's talking. Clodius is put on trial, and everyone asking, what will Caesar do? He divorces Pompeia immediately. But here's the twist. When asked if he thinks she was unfaithful, Caesar says, "I don't know, but Caesar's wife must be above suspicion." It's not about truth. It's about image, about control, about never letting anyone think they have leverage over you. That's the difference. Other men react emotionally. Caesar calculates, always. And Rome's about to learn what happens when calculation meets unstoppable ambition. If you made it this far, that means you watched the story finished. Stay tuned for the next part, and don't forget to like and subscribe.